Hello, thank you for clicking on the video. As you can see, today we're going to be discussing Tyler Perry's Diary of a Mad Black Woman. As per usual, if you don't like spoilers and you never watched this movie before, you should jump up here, go and watch it, and then come back. If you don't care, then we move on. So this movie is like a kind of, I guess it could be considered a classic for Tyler Perry's universe at this particular point. Like, I personally like from there up until a certain point, I liked Tyler Perry's films. I thought they were executed well. I feel like that was before he like would rush through projects and actually took his time. Like he didn't write all of his projects himself. So like while it was his idea, he had other people that was helping these topics to be able to be conveyed in a way where it feels natural. I feel like a lot of his stuff nowadays is, it don't get that same care and same love. There is always a lot of space where the conversation is unnecessary, or it's like prolonged in a very unnatural way that it makes the stuff he does now feel not so real. But this movie had some really great actors in it and had a really nice feel. Like, they really made you feel the characters. We come in seeing like Charles and Helen, and they're going to this banquet of his that is celebrating him for some award or something like that. And she literally says he's all about appearances. We know that he is a piece of shit from the very beginning. Like, you wouldn't know it the first watch through, but after you see it the first time, like, his speech alone lets you know that he is a piece of shit. This man said, I just told my wife this morning or earlier this week that if I died and got reincarnated, I would want to come back as me. Okay, but like, you're not that great. Like, you're not great at all. And the fact that you had your side chick up in that banquet, and she was throwing so much shade throughout that banquet, by the way, because he's talking about his wife, because he's narcissistic. So he, like, narcissists like to keep up appearances. And she's like in the background, like, she didn't want to clap when he like thanked her or something like that. Like, so it was just messy from the beginning. And this is my thing, because that man who played him still gets hated to this day for playing that character. And it's unfortunate because he did a good job. That's the problem. Like, you did a good job with what you were supposed to be doing, and unfortunately that has made you a very hated man, and I kind of feel bad for him. But like, this man dragged her out the house. This is my issue with this whole situation, right? It was their anniversary. Now, I don't know if he actually remembered that it was their anniversary. I feel like he did that on that day on purpose, though. Like, he had to have known that that was their anniversary. I don't think he forgot. Like, again, this is a very selfish man. He likes to be in control. He likes to have power, and I feel like that was kind of like one of those things to feel more empowered by, having this woman. I think her name is like Deborah or something like that, or Brenda. I'm thinking Deborah is Brian's wife. So Brenda, he has her come in, and mind you, she's at this office earlier in the day. Why you even wanted to pretend to be nice when you met the wife, when you met Helen at the office? Like, you shouldn't even pretended. You shouldn't have had a smile on your face. You shouldn't try to act polite, because you a nasty asshole who was finna come up in her house that night and steal all her shit and her man. So don't smile in my face, bitch. We ain't gotta be polite. I don't care that this is a lawyer's office, okay? But she comes in there like with this smugness and is mad that she's wearing this dress. Mind you, Helen don't know what's going on. She thinks this man forgot their anniversary, so she thinks he's gotten her a gift of just a whole new wardrobe overhaul. Okay, and she's so smug. And he is allowing her to be. Like, why do you think like, this, I know why you think it's okay. He makes you think that it's okay for you to come up in this house and talk to this woman like this, but you don't know her. And all you know about her is what he's been telling you. And I can guarantee you that whatever he's told you about Helen is wrong, because he don't treat his wife properly. He hasn't treated her properly. Like, there was a point in the movie where she's like writing her diary. We hear her inner monologue of writing her diary, and I'm thinking, I think she says something about how he, like, she was never happy with him or something like that. Like, she never felt the type of happiness that she felt with Orlando. We'll get to that a little bit more in a moment. But it's like, so you've never been a good man for real, for real. Even the fact of, like Medea said, like, he didn't have nothing when they got married, so why did he make her sign a prenup? He was always planning to do some dirty ass shit, in my head. Like, and it's talking about some, oh well, he always knew that he would be something. That means jack shit, because you never gave him a reason to think that you were going to be an issue in his life. But he always had red flags. Speaking of red flags, like, he hits her, like, and is about to hit her, like, at different points in this movie. And I feel like he definitely had put his hands on her, like, throughout their marriage here and there. It probably was not a full-blown domestic abusive relationship, but like, he was a little too comfortable raising his hand at her. And considering how she allowed him to control that relationship that much, most likely he started doing that stuff, way back when, before he even became a lawyer, when he was still selling drugs, apparently, because that's a piece of information that we get when he is asked to be the lawyer of some guy, some criminal guy. I actually forgot what his name is supposed to be. It don't matter. But, that actually leads him to his karma, because he's trying to pretend to be like something that he's not now. Like, you want to make these threats like, oh, well, the street's still in me. Like, he ain't say it like that, but that's basically what he says to this guy, because the guy threatens him like, hey, if you don't help me get off of this case, then, something might happen to you. And something happened to him indeed, because he didn't help him get off the case. He was too busy I think he was trying to set that man up in prison. I don't think he wanted him out on the streets, because if he really wanted to, he could have done what he needed to do to get dude off like that. And Charles just didn't want to help him. He felt like dude put him, like, backed him in a corner. He didn't like that, so he was like, well, I'm the lawyer in this situation. I'm going to just let court play out naturally, and it led him to getting shot, which he deserved. He absolutely deserved all of everything that happened to him. And the fact that you left your wife for some skank hoe who literally, first and foremost, she wanted you to die. The fact that she pretended like she was worried about you when Medea pulled a gun on you, she did that because you was in her face. I don't think she ever would have fucking cared. Like, if Medea had shot you right then and there, she would be like, yes, all of this is mine. Or not necessarily, because he wasn't divorced yet, and she ain't really have her name on nothing yet, so who knows. But this is the thing, because when he does get shot, her name still ain't known nothing. But she went and cleared out this man's bank account. That's karma. You being paralyzed, that's karma. Your wife beating you for revenge is still karma. But I think that was a little more so having to do with Helen having to work through her shit. Speaking of Helen, like, the amount of stuff she allowed herself to go through with Charles, with his ugly ass, was not fucking worth it, like, at all. Then, like, when she's talking to Medea, is, Medea like, and you doing this, you doing that, and you having sex with her on the regular, you said you wasn't even enjoying the sex. So it's like, this whole shit is pointless as hell. And This man made her miscarry twice, whether it was from stress or him putting hands on her or whatever it was, that he was the cause because he is constantly creating this strained dynamic. She is trying. She had been trying. She woke up that day on her anniversary trying. She literally made him some lunch, was like, you know what, it's our anniversary, I'm gonna take this to him, hope. And I think what she was hoping for was a little sit down, a little chat, a little intimacy. And instead what she got was meeting his mistress and him, telling her bye and then dragging her the fuck up out the house, leaving her in a situation where, now Orlando didn't have no ill intent, but she didn't know him, and he did, like, Charles didn't know Orlando either to be having, and this is the thing, because Orlando wasn't even originally supposed to be the one doing the job. He was filling in for his cousin. So you send your wife, you just hate her so much, you drag her out the house and you pay some stranger to drive her wherever she needs to go. What if he kidnapped her? What if he murdered her? What if she got trafficked? Like, and this is the thing, like, yeah, she's like 30 something, but anything is freaking possible. He could have been a freaking psycho murderer, and you just sending her off. And you know what's crazy is, I don't think Charles would have given a fuck if on the news the next day he finds out that she just popped up missing or popped up dead. I don't think he would have fucking cared at all. That probably would not have weighed on him in the slightest that you put her in that situation. Luckily for Helen, that was not the case, and Orlando was trying to be as much of a gentleman as he could, but he was kind of on the clock, and she was kind of wasting his time. This is the thing about that whole interaction, because I think he genuinely felt bad for her, but at the same time, he like, bro, I don't want to be in this situation. I don't know these people. I have my own life, my own stuff to do. Like, and I'm trying to be helpful, but at the same time, this woman she just sitting in this car and got me driving the fuck around, right? And for her, she's like, distraught. And it creates this thing where he thinks just some crazy lady threw him out of a truck, but in reality it's just pain, and you see that is pain because you just watched what happened and you don't know her story. You, in that moment, it's easy to say that she was, some crazy lady, and I'm gonna be completely honest, Helen had every fucking right to throw that drink on Orlando when he said what he said at that barbecue, because you don't know her story. You just know what you saw that night. I love that he was able to get that redemption arc and they was able to learn one another, and we see that he wasn't really trying to be an asshole. He just, it wasn't his situation, and she wasn't trying to be a hardened individual towards him. She's just like, whatever, this man is being a freaking man and men suck. I think that's where her mind was at in that moment in time, but we see her and Orlando love blossoms, and they get to just grow and like see one another in a very beautiful, light and intimate way that she never experienced with Charles. Like, she literally says she never had that type of feeling before. The way she felt when she was with Orlando was completely different from how she's ever felt. Mind you, she was married to Charles for 18 years, and clearly, like, obviously there was like a dating period before their marriage, so like they it was like some straight out of high school type stuff with Charles and Helen. So the fact that she never felt that level of comfortability and that level of safety and that level of intimacy and that level of happiness with this man, like, girl, you were never supposed to be with him. You know what I mean? And this is the thing. I personally think that when she was asked to marry, like when Orlando asked her to marry him, and then she sees the news report that Charles was shot, I think right then and there a test got started. Like, a spiritual test got started right there. Now, if she was really over that situation with Charles, she would have passed that test immediately by accepting Orlando's proposal. But this is why I don't think that it was necessarily the wrong decision for her to go and check on Charles and go to try and help Charles, because everything happened so quickly within that situation. She did not really have time to like fully process. She knew her marriage was in a bad state, but she had in her mind that there was a possibility for these two to fix it. Like in her mind, her and her husband will work through it and everything will be fine. You know, so her husband coming in and just saying, well, I don't want this relationship anymore. I'm going to be with this woman over here who literally, she brought nothing. Like anyways, she had to, move very quickly within her processes. And even when when her and Medea went to the house, so she could try and get some money, to have some money on her, like she had to quickly make the decision to say, I don't want it, fuck you, like, because of everything that happened and took place in that moment. So she thinks that she's processed all of this, but there's always some, dormant emotions there when you have to move on so quickly, because she had to immediately jump into, okay, I got to get a job. I got to start saving up. I need to try and get my own place. I need to, get on my stuff. I don't have any experience in the workforce, blah, 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 blah. So in her mind, she thought she moved on, but you kind of had to like really jump into all of this responsibility, unfortunately. And so when this opportunity is brought up, again, she's sitting there trying to help Charles and he's being a piece of shit. And that's when she decides, you know what? Fuck this. I wanted to get even anyways, and this is the perfect opportunity to do it. And this is when we really learned that, all of his like employees quit on him because, his tramp didn't leave any money to pay them. That's almost a direct quote from the movie. But yeah, and she stole all his money. The fact that you had such an issue with wanting to even give alimony to Helen, and she was married to you for 18 years, and you made it so this other woman had access. And also, because he kept talking about my kids, hey, I only saw one of the kids. Apparently he had two boys. I only saw one. I can tell you neither one of them boys was his. That boy looked Chinese. And the mama was Mexican. So, Mexican and black don't equal Chinese. Just saying. Like, he looked Asian to me. I don't know if the little boy was actually Asian. But I'm going to go on a limb here and say, because this is when, like, details matter, and sometimes stuff like that you have to pay attention to, like the smaller details. I'm willing to bet that was purposeful casting for the kids to be lighter toned, to like indicate that he's not actually the freaking dad. But maybe my brain is just overthinking that a little bit, but that's a theory that I have. It's kind of small, but it's a theory. I don't think those kids was his. And she almost drowned. Why she told him to stop making them bubbles? Why? Like she basically said, stop breathing, dude. You threw him in the tub and he can't move and his head is underwater. What do you want him to do? But again, I think it was just her needing to process those emotions. And when she sat down and talked with her mom and Medea knew that she was getting even. And this is the thing. I think that if he had went through that experience and it had given him some type of epiphany and he was, more understanding, and he realized like, oh, this maybe happened because I was a piece of shit, she wouldn't have done it. She probably would have gone back to him, unfortunately. And I think that it's a good thing that he did that, because in the midst of her, venting and finally saying all the things that she needed to say to him, and then after that speaking with her mom and Medea, and them both being like, hey, this is how you know you're over something. This is how you know you're not over something. And that being a real eye opener for her, it allowed her to start taking care of him properly. And in the midst of that, we see she's not feeling this marriage anymore. She's doing all, in the moment that she's doing all the things the right way, she ain't taking no more revenge on him. She's finally releasing it. Once she's finally actually releasing all of those pent up emotions, she don't want him anymore. He tries to, like, flirt with her a little bit, and this happens during a mirage. I hope I'm saying that freaking word right. I couldn't say it for the life of me in the last movie review that I did for Deliver Us from Ava. I couldn't, but I think it's Mirage. I hope so. Anyways, yeah, like, and she's like not with it. She just like, I'm just trying to help you walk, man. Like, come on now. I mean, she's just thinking about her real man, Orlando. And this is the thing. Orlando was right. He and she deserved each other. I think it was sad that he kind of got put in this place where he also had to deal with new emotions, because here he has fallen in love with this woman, a woman that he just happened to be on a job for and see all this mess go down, and now he's thrusted into this life and he just so happens to fall for her. They did, like, feel like they were more meant for one another. And here she is telling him, well, me and my husband are going to get back together. And it was because she was scared, and it was just unfortunate that she in that moment also had him questioning his emotion. Like, we don't really get to see that, but you just have to assume that that is what's going on, because what else is he going to do? Like, the woman he just asked to marry, ran out one day and he hadn't seen her for weeks. And then the next time he see her, she's telling him, hey, I'm back with my husband. Mind you, she never gave the ring back. I feel like she always held that out for him. Like, I think she was always gonna go back to Orlando. It was inevitable. I feel like if she really didn't care about him, if she really didn't love him, if she really didn't want to be with him, she would have gave him that ring back in the moment that she was saying, my husband and I are back together. They weren't even back together, but I digress. So I also want to talk a little bit about Brian and Deborah. Okay, Deborah is a drug addict, and this is Brian's wife, and his daughter Tiffany wants to do the choir at church, and he don't want to let her do this because his wife also sang in the choir, and he don't want his daughter to turn out like his mother. It's a very sad situation. This storyline in the movie kind of hits close to home. It reminds me about a family member that I know, and so when I'm in a certain space when I watch this movie, when she comes in at the church and she's singing, like, I tear up, every single time, but I have to be in a certain space for it. But yeah, because it really just reminds me of a particular relative that I had. And I think it's sad that his daughter was having to pay for the mom's mistakes. Now, after Brian spoke with his aunt, Medea, she convinced him to let Tiffany be in the choir, but he was really holding it off because of how he felt towards their mom. And that you never want to do. You never want your child to have to pay for the mistakes of someone else, especially their other parent, So I'm glad that he did let her in. This is not an issue because I used to get so confused on the timeline. Now watching as an adult, I pay more attention to the details that is given in the movie, so I know that like weeks and months were passing, right? But why did they have Tiffany go and tell the mama, oh yeah, this Sunday I'm finna sing, and then like do a montage, Y'all, it's a montage. It's a montage. Okay, do a montage. Do a montage of them of them uh doing all this stuff and the mama going into rehab. And I'm like, when I was younger, I was like, man, she cleaned herself up in pretty quickly, 1 week. Really, like, she was really serious about, getting cleaned up. No, this was like 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks that had passed. And then she showed up at the church, and her daughter just so happened to be singing again that Sunday as well. But I was not registering that when I was a kid. Like, this is my thing. I noticed about Tyler Perry's like stuff. He will freaking have the timelines not make sense. Like, they're not that clear. You have to pay very close attention to really understand like the way that the timeline is playing out. Like, especially in his shows. Like, I feel like he does this a lot more nowadays than he did back then. But he will like have like strictly talking about TV show right now, right? He will have like 5-6 episodes that span over 1 day, and that shit, like, a lot of shit will happen in this 1 day, and then like you don't know it, but it could skip like a couple days or a couple weeks, and then you thinking that you still on that same week, and then they like, yeah, well, 3 months ago. Like, when did 3 months go by? And it's like, because he spends so many episodes on 1 day and then just does a quick jump, it confuses the fuck out of you. He really needs to work on that, because I don't know what the hell. Like, but yeah, like, the timeline used to confuse me, and it took me so long to realize like how that made sense, and that she wasn't clean or recouping in rehab in 1 week, but yeah, that is pretty much all that I have to say. This has been like truly a moment for me when it comes to making videos, because y'all, when I tell you, I have been trying to figure out what the freaking word is, and the fact that I'm thinking it's mirage. No, montage. I apologize for that. Like, but yeah, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, why don't you tell me if you watched the movie? I hope you watched the movie. I mean, this movie came out a while ago. But what was one of your favorite moments in the movie in general? Yeah. And yeah, until next time. Bye.